Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Chart New Territory with Lines and Polygons in Fulcrum. My name is Jake Freevold. I head up product marketing here, and I'll be your MC for today. Just from a quick housekeeping perspective, please know that we are recording today's webinar, and we will be sharing it with you over the next day or so. There will also be a post-webinar survey, and we'd really appreciate your responses there. I'm joined today by Mike Lambert and Coleman McCormick, who are both vice presidents in product management here at Fulcrum. And today's agenda is going to start with Mike, who's going to talk about how GIS fits into our corporate strategy and roadmap. And then we'll move from Mike's presentation into Coleman's part, which is a demo of our GIS capabilities, which includes our most recent capability to natively collect lines and polygons. So it should be a really good presentation. At any point during that presentation, please include questions. Please add your questions to the Q&A box in the GoToWebinar interface. We will have a Q&A session. We've left about 20 minutes at the end. So please do put in your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will get to those before too long. So with that, thank you very much for attending. And Mike Lambert, please take it away.
Thank you, Jake. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be able to share with you where Fulcrum is at with this great exciting launch around lines and polygons capability, and Coleman's going to demo to you. And first wanted to walk you through a little bit of how we're looking at Fulcrum, from where we're headed, and where the platform investments are going to go forward, and being running product management, looking at what that roadmap looks like, and being able to share with you not just what we're doing today, but also where we're taking the platform going forward. When we look at the Fulcrum platform, there's three major areas that we look at in terms of workflow automation for data collection with advanced GIS location capabilities. And we look at this across several different industries that have a really, heavy usage and requirement for robust GIS capabilities. And we have, so in terms of the industry areas of focus, we look very closely at these particular industry vertical areas, which a lot of folks, who are on the call today, who are our customers already, are using. And those, I'm imagining that several from potential customers who are listening to today's call are in some of these industries as well. If you're not in these industries, we do have tremendous capabilities and customer support for the work-off flow automation data collection capabilities, but without necessarily requiring GIS location. But these industries represent a really strong focus for us as a platform and as a company. And how that breaks down in terms of looking at the different capabilities that we're going to deliver in the platform is encompassed in this slide, which is really, we're very, very focused on empowering industry-leading field efficiency and GIS capabilities at scale. So the three primary areas of focus for the roadmap and where we're taking the platform are around continuing to invest in robust GIS capabilities, industry-leading field mobile efficiency and effectiveness. We are already very strong in this capability today, and we continue to invest in it because we know the importance to our customers and to the field of really being able to effectively execute in inspections while out in the environment, and doing a lot of different activities during the day, and then enterprise support. So this is really, when we look at Fulcrum, we look at it as a platform for the field that is able to bring together in one mobile application and mobile capability the capacity to support multiple different workflows, multiple different back office systems, and multiple requirements. These folks who are working in the field have a lot of people and a lot of different activities that they need to take care of, and being able to do that within one platform, Fulcrum, and doing that across multiple different workflows is a real efficiency and effectiveness improvement, rather than having to swap between different apps for different use cases or different workflows that the individuals in the field have to support. And so I want to stop here and take a quick poll. So we're going to give you an opportunity to weigh in on some things here, and we'll pull that poll up here in a second.
So Mike,
so the question we have here sorry, Jake, were you going to take that?
No, go ahead.
The question we have here is, which applications would you see the most benefit from integrating with Fulcrum? And you're able to select one or more of the following. So why don't we go ahead and just quickly take advantage of that, or click on those things that apply for you, and we'll take a look at what the results are.
And Mike, what I was going to say is I think it's worth noting that the selections here are based in large part, the examples I should say, like Maximo, Salesforce, whatever, are based on some of the conversations we've had with our clients around some of the ones that they find most important to them, or that they feel are really crucial for their field processes. And that sort of thing. So there's been a lot of conversation around some of these applications already to date. I believe you've been actually driving a number of those conversations yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that was interesting to me about Maximo, for example, is when people were talking about asset management, they wanted a process in the field where if someone was doing a pre-use safety inspection of a cherry picker, for example, they'd be able to get that information about the cherry picker's safety status, right? That's the core piece of information they were going to get. But in collecting that data, they said, you know what, that is that's information about the status of this piece of equipment, the location of the piece of equipment, how it's operating, et cetera, so they could feed that back into their asset management system at the same time. And as a result, increase the efficiency of that process, know where all of their assets are at one time, and in some cases, not have to perform separate inspections that would give essentially the same data. So that kind of efficiency is really what's driving a lot of this kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it also has benefits in the back office in terms of having to reconcile data rather than, by hand, rather than having it automatically be pushed from Fulcrum into the platform there where that data is resident.
Yep. Interesting result here. Clearly, the analytics and dashboarding side of the house has a strong pull. 2/3 of our audience looking for that kind of capability. And again, these numbers add up to more than 100% because you could select more than one. And then second behind that, neck and neck, field service management and asset management at 39 and 38% respectively. Good stuff.
Yeah, great. That's really helpful for us too. Very interesting results. Consistent with what we've been seeing. So that's really great to see. Thanks for participating in that. So going to dive a little bit deeper for a few minutes into the robust GIS capabilities and the field efficiency areas. So for the focus on the geospatial data, really our objective is to deliver, this unbeatable ease of use for robust, rich GIS capabilities. For Fulcrum has been focused on, ease of field use since our inception, and we continue to invest in that. And as we add rich GIS capabilities, there's a lot of complexity that comes with that. So how to present that to the end user efficiently and effectively so that we get the right data right up front and as quickly and as effectively as possible is still a primary focus for us. So user experience is critical for us in this. And, giving the ability to have a more complete set of high quality, high resolution geospatial data, native lines and polygons, and we'll be looking at other things, down the road, including integration for high accuracy data devices at a next level. We provide some level of integration today, and we're looking to make that richer to include metadata associated with that. And one of the things we're doing, one of the things that we focus, our underlying this is, we announced a relationship with Esri to use their Esri Map SDK back in November of 2022. And all of the new functionality that you're seeing from us, and we'll be seeing from us in this demo, has been built upon that. We will continue to build upon that. And, we're really excited about our partnership with Esri here. It increases our ability to get things quickly to market. It also increases and enhances our integration with the Esri ecosystem, so that things that you're using in your Esri environments, will be reflected inside a Fulcrum environment, look very familiar, and also have that ease of operation. So that's another way to really simplify the user experience, is by reflecting in both areas, regardless whether you're looking at this in an Esri context or you're looking at it in a Fulcrum context, the data looks the same. And so that really will help the end users more effectively operate in the field, because there's no context switching for them. And a little bit further on the integration with Esri, what we've done recently, or what we've done in the last year, is build in base map and feature service layers into Fulcrum for public and private, real time, and of course the line and polygon capabilities. And we also have the ability to feed data into Fulcrum from ArcGIS Online, and we will also be looking at pushing data back into ArcGIS Online as a roadmap item. And we will continue to support other GIS formats. Our partnership with Esri does not prevent us from also supporting our customers who are using alternative GIS capabilities like QGIS, for example. We're going to switch gears, talk a little bit about efficiency. One of the things that Fulcrum has always been known for, and our customers have continued to share with us how valuable and important it is the experience of not just what it's like for the field, is efficiency, both in the field and also in the back office. And if we look at processes from what our customers have shared with us about other tools and other either internally built or competitive tools, it starts in the office in terms of building the applications. And this is an example of what we see from other, in other scenarios where without Fulcrum, there's this environment where you have to use, you're using an IDE or a spreadsheet, you compile and you test it, and then you deploy to the field. And that has some challenges associated with it in terms of you have responsibility for building out what that looks like in the mobile application, and creating blocking and all these types of user experience capabilities that add some complexity in terms of building that out. And but the real challenge comes in terms of once you get feedback on how that initial deployment went, this cycle has to go through a third party. Typically an IT resource or a GIS expert has to do this work on behalf of a field operations team. And that they're very busy people, and they have other priorities as well. And so it becomes a time scenario where you have to wait for your process to get fulfilled. With Fulcrum, we've built the capability to very quickly lay out and build your application for your inspection, for your data collection requirements, push that to the field quickly, and then try that, and then get the feedback, and the person closest to the field, the project manager or the field operations individual, what have you, can do this work themselves inside of Fulcrum, and then make those changes and quickly push that out, and they're done. And this saves a tremendous amount of time, not just in the actual building, but also again in the wait time between when you discover the changes that need to be made and when you actually are able to get those changes through someone else's work queue. Looking at this from the field side, from the field user side, when we look at a process, that we've seen from other applications or other use cases, where Fulcrum is not being used, there's multiple different steps and multiple different platforms that are being used. Sometimes a PC is used as well as a mobile. Sometimes a DLSR has to be used as well. And this creates a lot of context switching, different devices, which in the field, when you're doing multiple different, between 50 to 100 different inspections or different data collection activities in a day, it really becomes a roadblock to getting all the things that need to be done for the day, in an effective manner. And either you run overtime or you don't actually get as much productivity as you're looking for from your team on a day-to-day basis. With Fulcrum, we put all of this inside of the Fulcrum application, and that enables you to get more done in less time, better data, and less reconciliation. One of the challenges it often happens is you get back in the field, process the data across the different devices, and discover that there was an error. So you have to send that team back out. And we all know how expensive and complicated that is to actually get done. And so that's looking at that from the context of what the workflow looks like, we've also created for an ROI calculator. So we can work with you and what your exact process is, including things that are part of your process and removing the things that are not part of your process, and determine what it would look like to use Fulcrum in exchange for your current process. So what does your current system look like, and then what does your future state potentially look like with Fulcrum? And there's flexibility in this, again, to reflect what your particular process looks like exactly, rather than just a generic capability. So working with someone from Fulcrum to put this, they can basically gather this information from you and return you what the results would look like. And we've had, some really strong results from customers. One real world example showed an 88% savings on data collection time and an 83% savings on data management time. So this is like the back office work with a very effective payback for, talking about with, we look at this, it's obviously important to those of us doing the work, but when we look at having conversations with procurement or finance, this really drives home the value of using Fulcrum and how much of an impact it can have on your business. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Coleman to take us through a demo.
Thanks, Mike. This is Jake again, and while Coleman is getting set up, Mike, you need to stop sharing your screen. Coleman's going to set up his screen sharing so he can give us a demo. I just want to remind everyone that we are going to be taking questions at the end of this session, so please enter questions into the Q&A box in your GoToWebinar interface, and we'll be capturing those and asking them as we go forward. Coleman, are you set up and ready to go?
I think so. Let's share this window. How's it look?
Looks great. Yep.
All right. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mike. I am going to walk through as much as possible the latest functionality that we have for you all for lines and polygons and some other things that have been in the product for some time related to GIS, but through a kind of use case that we've put together here to show how these different functions can be used kind of in tandem together to build out a more complete GIS data workflow with Fulcrum. So to start off with, I'll intro kind of the app examples that we have here. So in our case, in this use case, we've got a vegetation management crew and management team back in the office, dispatching work out to do line clearance, pesticide, herbicide applications, things like that, along these utility line corridors, in this case, electric utility lines. So we've got an app here for vegetation management that we've loaded data into. So all of what you're seeing here is native. What I'm going to be showing you is native lines and polygons along with point data that we've had for some time in a Fulcrum app. And this supports import, export, and everything, just like we've supported for the life of the product with point data. This is what our survey looks like. So as you can see, it's got some information about it allows you to select allows the user to select whether it's a pole or a line. So Fulcrum will support mixed geometry, so you can have points, lines, and polygons in a single app together, or you can choose to only use one. In this case, so there's a field to select the asset type. Is it a pole or a line? A lot of this was going to be filled out already because we've loaded this in as if we are updating existing data. But then there's information that the user will fill out about vegetation clearance as they go through performing their work. And then the important piece that I'll be showing with respect to lines and polygons is this ability to log an observation. So what we're going to have the team do is they're going to be going segment to segment along a power line corridor for surveying for encroaching vegetation. And if they see other things out in the field that are noteworthy or they want to make the rest of the team aware of, they can log an observation using this app that's linked using a record link, which you saw on the dashboard. That's just a simple ability to make a comment, take a picture, and draw either a geometry, line, polygon, or make a point. So with that, let me show what the data looks like. I'll do it here on the web. This is kind of what the back office person would be doing. So if we zoom out, they can see these lines. These are all native lines in Fulcrum in my vegetation management app. So each line is broken up into segments, and then my team's going to go down and survey each segment. We also got some data here. Well, I'll show you that in mobile in a minute. But we want the team to go down and perform the clearance work that they need to do along each line segment, and then so I'll show that on mobile, and then we'll come back to the kind of office view, and we'll look at what that follow-up process looks like after the work is done. So let me switch over to my mobile here. So as you can see here, we've got our vegetation management app and our observations app ready to go. And when I load in, I go into my vegetation management app, I can see here a number of layers that using our connect to ArcGIS functionality, I've connected to my ArcGIS Online environment to be able to load these in here. So I've already done that. If I scroll down, you can see my ArcGIS connection set up down here. But the Franklin County parcels and Franklin County line clearance layers, these are layers loaded from my private ArcGIS environment. Turn those on, and I get a buffer around the power lines, as well as if I were to zoom out more, we've got a parcels layer that flags noteworthy parcels with, there's a comment in here, if there's, dangerous pets or something that we want to make the crew aware of, they'll be able to see that as they're doing their work. But I'm going to focus on this area here. You can see the green lines are completed. So as they go through the work, they'll tap each segment, open it up, do the work, and then move the status further into from needs inspection to completed. And we'll then take a look at that on the web. One other thing I wanted to show here that is relatively new is that with base maps, we now support offline base maps. So I can go into and when I say base map, I mean the underlying either satellite or street layer. So I can go to offline maps, I can download a new map, and I can actually, while I'm in an office or somewhere where I have Wi-Fi, I can pan to the project area or somewhere I'm going to work offline, and I can download that, and in the background it'll start caching that layer. And I already have one there loaded up. But that's something that we've never been able to do before, and that's something that comes with our new functionality working with Esri. So let's go look at one of these line segments here. So I tap on this and I can see this is the parcel data underneath it if I wanted to look at that, or I can tap on this to open up this line segment. So here's our form. And when they go down, they'll fill out the form. I'm not going to fill out the full thing, but as you can see here, there's some conditional logic that if vegetation management is needed, it asks them some further questions to upload photos and things like that. So let's just say for this example, we don't need any vegetation management, but one thing I do want to do is I want to log an observation. So here's our record link, tap new observation, and now I can create a new one. Let's, in my case, my crew is out there and there's a fence section that's down that needs replacing. So what they can do is now go in here, and we have this set up with the default geometry so that the map goes to the right location. But you don't have to set it up like that. But let's say the fence segment is right here. And so trace out your line. And there it is. Now I go back. So that's my geometry is now set. And let's say that's just a medium level of risk. Save that. I actually also want to mark this as visited. So turn it green. And then if they go down to the next segment, and on this one, we're going to log an observation that says there's a washout in right of way. So let's say there was a storm, created some washout, and we need to fill it back in. So let's edit this geometry. We'll and this time I want to make a polygon. And to make a polygon, if we just keep making a line and you close it, it'll make a polygon. We save that. And this is high risk. Oh, I didn't change the status. All right, let me do that again. So now we've made those two segments green, completed that little section to that road intersection. If I flip over to my observations app, I can see those observation records I created. So I can see that one was the fence is down, the other one over here for the washout. And now let's sync our data, and I'll switch back over to the web and show you what you can do there with your data. So here we are, we're back on our web dashboard and refreshing. Now you can see those line segments have now turned green because they're completed. And if I were to click into one of these, and I'm doing, let's say I'm doing QA and I'm checking the work that the team did, I see that observation that they created where the fence is down. They can open that up and look at it here. And if I want to look at the one that's a polygon here. So open this one up, there's washout. So one of the things you can also do, this functionality is not just limited to mobile. We can do this on the web as well. I think I might have to go actually back out to here. But let's say I'm looking at my observations now. And I open this up and I actually want to modify this. Let's say that it's larger than they originally could see from the field. You can reposition this. I can move it. I can move the vertices. I can move the midpoints and make it more accurate. And then save. And now we've got the updated geometry. And all of this, just like everything else in Fulcrum, what we've done here really is extended the ability to add lines and polygons as the native geometry for the record. So where it was once just points, now you can do lines and polygons. So I still get things like the full history view, where I could pull up the record and see the change over time. So every time the geometry changes, it goes into history. All of that's available on the Fulcrum API, the query API. It's available through it supports importing them. So like I showed with the power line data, you can load that in. You don't have to have it already. You don't have to create it yourself, right? And then on export, you can export the data in that format. And I think that covers it for the demo, unless we've got questions that will bring us back here to follow up on some more of this
That's awesome, Coleman. Thank you very much. Since that does conclude the demo, we've got close to a half hour for questions. So please, if you have not yet added your questions to the Q&A box, feel free to do that. We do have some that are coming in. And Mike, if you want to come on screen cam, I think the first one probably should go to you anyway. The question came in from, where is this? Here it is, from Brian, asking, is there a subscription cost associated with being able to connect Fulcrum to Portal for GIS? And in parentheses, he says here, hosted feature services. Can you give us a response to that, please?
Yeah, sure. So Portal for, so currently our support is connection to ArcGIS Online. In the first quarter next year, we're going to add Portal capability. But in either case, where you have a subscription to Fulcrum and an Esri subscription that supports those capabilities already, there's not going to be an additional fee for making that connection from either ourselves or from Esri.
Cool. I'm going to try to group some of these coming in because there's a bunch of them together. So let's see if I can get that right. One of the questions was, is being able to bring feature service layers info into forms automatically on the future roadmap? I'm going to repeat that. Is being able to bring feature service layer information into forms automatically on the future roadmap?
Yes, it is. That is a candidate capability, and what we're doing right now is assigning priority to the multiple different capabilities that we want to add, that we will be adding to the platform. So the timing is still somewhat in question, but it's definitely something that is on our radar and has been brought up as an important capability by others as well.
And related to that, I think this comes from Sarah. ArcGIS Online GDBS, can the ArcGIS Online GDBS be fully integrated in Fulcrum? Meaning, points and lines and polygons collected in the field will be updated in ArcGIS Online.
That is also a roadmap item that we're looking at in the 2024 timeline. So currently we take data from ArcGIS Online, pushing data back into ArcGIS Online is something that we're assessing the right timing on doing that. But certainly, the first half of 2024 is what our current thinking is. Again, always with roadmaps, as everyone knows, it's subject to change, but that is currently where we're thinking of that.
That's great. And Sarah, you've got another question here. If that did not answer your question, please come back to us and let us know what other information you need. But it looks like, I think that answers your second question as well. One of the questions, this comes in from Shelby, for exporting, can we only export centroids? Maybe Coleman, do you want to discuss this?
export. So we have an exporter and we have the downloader. They're two different things. I can't recall, I'll have to look into it, but it should support full export of lines or polygons if they're embedded in the app, both of those features. But that may be something we have to follow up on.
And if we are pulling reports, would the snapshot of the location be able to see the lines and polygons on the report? This is from Scott. So if we're pulling reports with a snapshot of the location, is the question maybe would inside the report that you're pulling, would you get a snapshot of the location with the line or the polygon related to that record on the report itself?
I believe that's something in the roadmap to basically support these geometries in the static map image functionality that embeds in the reports. If that's the question, then yes, that's in the roadmap to support that.
Diana asks, does the polygon come with the associated area?
With the area calculated?
It's not quite clear from the question. In the demo, we show how there was a calculated area for that polygon that was done as a calculated field, I believe. So
Yes.
if you're looking for that kind of capability, it's not complicated to do to get that associated area right as a field within the app if you're looking for that. Hope that answers the question, Diana. If not, let us know, please. One question from Scott says, this is great, very exciting. Thank you very much for letting us know that, Scott. In the future, will there be an ability to use line features to create polygon buffers? And I'm less of a GIS guy than you are. Maybe Coleman, I don't know quite how to interpret that, but do you have an answer for Scott in that for that question?
There's not, I mean, we don't have anything specifically in the roadmap at the moment for that, but one of the motivating forces for us investing in all of this is to open the doors on a lot of that kind of advanced functionality, to be able to do things that are more dynamic. So think things like, if you've got, someone asked the question already, if you've got feature service polygons loaded in, to be able to like automatically bring data over from that feature service into your form data, like a point in polygon type of thing. So something like that, or be able to dynamically do more geoprocessing kinds of functionality. So buffers, show me all the records within 10 meters of this line, you know, as a filter or a search option. I mean, these are the kinds of things we want to be able to do. I can't speak to that specific thing exactly yet, but a lot of those things are now on the table in ways that they weren't before. Now, we do have, using things like data events, you can do some things with turf.js as a JavaScript library that we help a lot of customers use to do some more advanced things with geometry. And we've been using that in the product for a long time to solve certain of these things. But we want to be able to make more of that native, basically make it more like controlled with settings and configuration rather than code and development to be able to do that.
I've got two related questions here. I think these could go both to you, Fulcrum, and then I've got one for you, Mike. The question is there a way, this is from Alfred, is there a way to color code the lines or polygons based on category or status? And a related question to that status question was, can I get the app to change status automatically? Like you changed the status manually when you were going through, Coleman. Is there a way to get that to change automatically?
Yeah, I believe the setup that we have in that example is using data events to do to tie the two together, basically. Because typically a status field is manually controlled, just like any other field. But that's something that we would be interested in adding at some point in the future, is the ability to do basically dynamic data-driven statuses. It's just not something that's quite possible yet. You can do it with data events. You can do your own custom, basically custom logic to determine what the status field should be set to. And that's what a lot of people do today. A lot of customers use that functionality to do that.
Just so it can be done today using data events. And just to point out that we're not talking about something that's complicated. I'm a marketing guy. I don't do coding for a living, and I've done that in my demos. It's pretty straightforward.
We have examples in our documentation too that show that exact use case and how to do it.
Right, not hard. Mike, I'm going to shift this one over to you. You showed, your last slide was an ROI case study, like an ROI calculator, and then there was some specific results that came back from a customer. Thomas is asking, can you do an ROI study for their business? And if so, what's the process to get that ROI study to happen?
Yeah, so we definitely can work with you on that. And if you're an existing customer, you can connect with your account executive. And if you're not an existing customer, when you reach out to Fulcrum and do the sales email, I forgot exactly what the exact sales email is, and but we'll work with you and get that set up.
Great. Ton more questions coming in. Several of them, actually, there's at least two here, and I may have lost track, but there's at least two here asking about the polygons being opaque. They were asking, is it on the roadmap to have the polygons be transparent? Shelby asked that. Somebody else asked that, at least. So there's some interest there. Who wants that question?
I would say yes to the general improvement of how the rendering works for lines and polygons. We're really at the very beginning of this, so there's going to be a lot of improvements coming as we see how customers make use of it. As anyone on this interested in the subject is well aware, when you get into GIS data, it can get complicated because you've got possibly dozens of layers overlaying each other, and so one person's very simple use case can work fine, and another that's more complex with more data can require a lot of fine-grained control. So we're definitely going to be exploring how we can make improvements to that, or at least give users the ability to change that kind of symbology to your own needs.
So there are a couple of questions here, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get into them all here, but there are some questions around import, export, related to getting the advanced geometries. One user, John, talks about trying to use GeoJSON and seeing it show up as a point. Kat talks about using shapefiles and different extensions for point lines and polygons. So what I'd like to suggest there is that if you're trying specific things, what we'd like to do is take this information from the questions after the webinar probably and connect with you individually to make sure that we've got, customer, if you're a customer, then customer success will follow up with you and make sure that you're able to do what you need to do. And then if you're not a customer, then we can reach out to you and talk about what your use case is and see what you're trying to accomplish. And if you're not able to do that in a trial right now for some reason, or if you are interested in just knowing whether or not that's possible, we'll figure out what to do there. But we are able to export with line and polygon GIS data, and we'll talk to you about how to make that happen. I believe that also answers the question about exporting the layer with polygons into Google Earth. I believe Google Earth will accept shapefiles as part of what it does. If not, is there if there's something else we need to add there, Coleman, let's add that. But
yeah, I'll add a general comment that with respect to import, export, there's no particular limitation for us to add more formats on both ends other than our own resources to make it possible. We would like to have that be as wide as we can make it, right? To support as many data types outbound and inbound, and still be able to support them all. Some of this is, I think, a function of just being early in this, some of the importing, but rest assured we're going to be working through all those issues to make sure it's straightforward to bring in lines or polygons or points still through the same kind of import tooling that we have.
Two different questions that I think are related. Can lines and polygons be labeled differently from points? And will there be labels for point data and polygons for the desktop view like there is for point data on the mobile view? So we're talking about just the way that we are, I guess, exposing lines and polygons in desktop and mobile. Any comment? Go ahead.
I think that probably is my answer would be related to my one from earlier about just symbology improvement. The addition of lines and polygons opens up the need for more control because the data can be so different. You can have extremely dense lines all on top of each other. You can have, same with polygons, you can have many of them like parcels or something like that, or you could have larger ones. And how those get labeled or marked on the map can vary wildly depending on what your preference is. Whereas points are there's fewer options to even have. So, we've had the color of the point and the label of the point, but like we don't have labeling yet on polygons or labeling you can control. So that's something we'll be looking into, is how to just make improvements to that, the symbology settings and controls for that.
I think one of the really important things to note about where we are in the development of the product is that by building on the Esri SDK, we have a ton of capability to develop things very quickly, and we've been able to move fast on a lot of the things that would otherwise have been extremely complicated and difficult to do. So a lot of the things that we're talking about being on the roadmap are in fact things that we have, we have visibility on, as opposed to being something that we might get to someday. It's really quite astounding how much progress we've made in a short period of time. I've got a number of different, it's like 4 or 5 different symbology questions. So for example, can we import symbology for polygons or point or line data? Can you change the color of the polygons, and do they change with status updates? Can you alter the symbology? A couple more, but all around the kind of the symbology, the colors, things like that. Is that something that you can address right now?
There was one in there that I think the status question, they do match the status colors just like the points have in Fulcrum. But you know, the rest of those, I mean, I would say there's a lot of improvement will be coming down the road as we get user feedback on this, and what the most impactful changes are that we can make to symbology, because there's a lot, obviously. I will say that if you're using, this is not for the native lines and polygons in Fulcrum, but if you are viewing line or polygon data that comes from a feature service, that loads the symbology from the server. So if you got ArcGIS Online with a symbolized data set, it'll bring that over and respect that symbology. It's just the support for that in the Fulcrum native stuff is not up to the same matching level yet.
Excellent. And I'm going to stick with feature service layers for this next one. The question is, are you able to access feature service layers from a local publicly accessible GIS server? Is that still an option? This person says, it's Jeff, says he's being prompted to log into ArcGIS Online. So this is a question, I believe, about public versus private feature service layers.
I think that there's a number of different products from Esri that are, you know, functionally the same. So the way that you use, I can't remember the name of it, but there's the internal hosted ArcGIS Online. We have to add some things to make that fully supported, is my understanding. And we have intention to build that. We just haven't gotten there yet.
I know that for certain demos I've been doing, I've used some public feature service layers as well as some private feature service layers. So there's capability for both of them within the product. You know, there may be some specific use cases that we need to look at. If you're struggling with that, please get in contact with us. Let us know what we need to do. By the way, there was a question earlier about who do we get in touch with in order to make certain things happen. There is a contact form on the website. So if you go to fulcrumapp.com, you can easily get to the contact us page, which will enable you to put just a little bit of text about who you are and what you're interested in finding out, and there will be somebody who follows up with you on that in a matter of hours, if not a day. And so please do feel free to reach out for that if there's specific requirements that you've got. If you're a customer, of course, you can also always reach out to our top-notch customer success team. There are a couple of licensing questions, and I'm going to munge a couple of them together. Mike, maybe these are things that you can address or address in a global sense. So one of the questions is, who is considered a user of the tool? This is from Diego. Is it who takes the field information, or is it the person who processes it? Related to that, I think people are asking about, this is from Oscar, is a license required by each user who draws a polygon? And there's probably a couple more in here that I might try to find and bring out as well, Mike. But if you could start by addressing those questions.
Yeah, we have a very flat user structure. So each individual needs a user license. So whether you're working in the office or you're working in the field. Now, if So if someone had an application on their phone or downloaded the mobile app, they would need a user license for that. And so to draw on that, now, of course, if someone was sharing, you were sitting there working to collaboratively, they wouldn't need a separate license for that because it'd be operating on yours. But for any individual usage of the platform, there's a user license associated with that.
Great. Cornelius, you asked, you said this is very interesting, exciting, and thank you very much. Again, we appreciate that feedback. And you wanted to make sure that you understood correctly that you can draw a polygon or line of an area without actually having to be physically present on site to get the GPS coordinates. I could actually answer that one. Yes, I do that all the time. It's a very cool bit of capability. You can search on the map for the specific location you're looking for, and all of the ability to locate a record by point, line, or polygon is available at that point. So really simple to do. Mike, another one for you, I think. Where is the data that we collect hosted? It says, cloud database, what country is it in, et cetera.
So we have a cloud. We're a cloud-based platform. We're underpinned by, well, we subscribe to AWS services, and we currently have data locality in the European Union, the US, and Australia.
A couple questions about child records or repeatables. I'm assuming those are the same thing, and people are using different languages to describe the same thing. Is there an option to have lines and polygons associated with child records? That's from Tomas and Kurt.
Yes, it's in the roadmap right now. It's in active development right now. Support that.
So right this very second, probably if you download it today and tried it today, the answer is not yet, but that's something, as I understand it, we're talking about, weeks or something away, a week or two away.
Yeah,
Okay. Looking at weeks, yeah.
Imminent. Yep.
And I had a question, I think it was from Sarah, if I can find it. Are these new features you're talking about today accessible on Fulcrum now? The answer, generally speaking, is if we haven't said that it's on the roadmap or a future, then yes, this is something you can download today and use, like the stuff that you saw in Coleman's demo today. There's no advanced feature, new features, roadmap features being incorporated into that demo today. That's all stuff that he was using live software for. Tell me if I'm lying, Coleman. I'm a marketing guy. You can tell me
Correct.
that. All
You're
live data.
spot on. Yep.
Are you looking at supporting editing of private feature services from within Fulcrum? So if I understand this question correctly, there's a private feature service in ArcGIS Online. Fulcrum accesses that feature service, and then the information that Fulcrum collects actually modifies the private feature service within ArcGIS Online. Coleman, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think we are looking into that. It's one of many things we have to understand. One thing we've got to do, though, to make that a reality is there's some just differences in what data types are supported between Fulcrum and between Esri, and making them kind of match up is non-trivial. What I mean is, in Fulcrum, you could do things like record links or barcodes, or just things that may not be have a supported data type equivalent on the Esri side, like, or in a feature service side. So we'd have to kind of navigate that and make it so that that editing of that would work correctly. But it's definitely something we're interested in exploring.
I see two questions. I think they're related. They sound like the sketch feature we've been talking about a little bit. Can I draw lines on the map to separate jobs, east to west, et cetera, or use lines to mark territories for workers to work inside, drawing a circle or a square or something so that people know that they should be doing their job with inside a certain area? Is that something you can address?
I mean, today you could make an app in Fulcrum and basically draw those areas or import those areas in that app. If you do it that way, then you can use things like using the record links to do lookups and other features. But Another area that we are exploring in the roadmap for the coming year is ways to improve just job management and work management in general. I'll say that. So, and all of that would incorporate what we can now do with lines and polygons in a way that we haven't been able to in the past. So if you look at something like the projects feature in Fulcrum, which is a way to kind of tag data and permission data between groups, that has never had the ability to associate those with areas or with geographies. And that's something that, as we continue to work on the work management functionality, we'll definitely be incorporating that this new ability to do lines and polygons in there as well.
Thanks. And there's still a bunch of questions. We've only got 4 minutes left. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of them. We will try to address all of these questions by after the fact. But one other point I'd like to make is we've had a ton of good questions coming in. You do, as clients and prospects of ours, shape the way we think about what we do. So your feedback like this to our product management team does make a difference. We really do develop a lot of what we develop by listening to our customers and about their specific use cases. So thank you very much for bringing this all of this out today. Maybe we can get a couple last questions in. One of them, are your GIS capabilities only going to be related to Esri, or will we still be able to use QGIS and other tools with Fulcrum?
Not just related to Esri. Yeah, we'll be supporting the formats that all of this is built around. So feature services are an Esri thing, but supported in other products as well, including QGIS. The line and polygon data will be supportable in anything that can read a shapefile or GeoJSON or any other kind of open format that Fulcrum can produce.
There's a couple of advanced geometries kind of things here that I think I know the answer to this, but I'll leave this for you guys, Mike and Coleman. They're related to doing things like selecting functions using different layers. For example, selection functions, so intersection or near, things along those lines. Or if you are working in the field and you're drop multiple data points, can we automatically link lines together to show the area that's covered? Can we talk a little bit about where some of those capabilities are where they are now and where they're going?
I think if I understand the nature of the question, I had answered an earlier one related to kind of geoprocessing or just more advanced spatial functionality. And I think I would say, a lot of that we're going to be just trying to find out what's the most interesting things we can do in the product that harnesses some of that. I think the question on chaining points together, I mean, I'd love to understand the use case for doing that, or what you're looking to accomplish, because one thing I did see a question about related to, can Fulcrum connect to an external receiver? So this is kind of like GPS data collection. Something that we're actively working on right now is being able to collect lines or polygons using the GPS. So start recording, walk an area or a distance, and have that describe the geometry. That's something that's been kind of requested for a long time, and now that we have the ability to do lines and polygons, it's something that we're working on now. And so that may be an answer to that question, because that's kind of doing the same thing, is rather than dropping points to describe a line, you could move physically along that and record a GPS track. So hopefully that helps with the answer. I don't know if I got the thrust of the question right. But.
Sounds good. We are right at the top of the hour. I probably still have 10 questions left here. Thank you all very much for your participation today. I think that's all we're going to be able to really get through. Mike, Coleman, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge today on the webinar. If anyone else has other questions, please do reach out to us. Your customer success, the contact us form on the webinar, on the website please feel free to reach out to us. We're actively listening to you all to make sure that we've got the best product possible for these industrial strength GIS use cases. Also, there should be a survey that pops up on at the time that you exit this webinar. Please do take just a few minutes to answer those 3 questions we've got for you. We're listening to you on that front as well. So thank you all very much today for coming to our webinar. Mike Coleman, thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.